Hey everyone, it's 9 a.m. on Wednesday and we are on day 3. So I should hopefully see somebody that's not doing something at 9 a.m. and can join us. I'll give it a few minutes here. For those of you that will be catching the replay, my name is Melissa Christopher, and I am a stay-at-home mom and a wellness advocate with doTERRA Essential Oils. I have 2 children. One is 1. His name is Cohen, and I have a 4-year-old Callie. And so they are what drives me to live healthy, and I'm sure that a lot of you feel the same way, and I'm just overwhelmed by how much y'all are participating in this challenge these next couple of weeks. And I think a lot of you have big whys, big things that drive you to pursue health. And so I just encourage you to continue to develop that why as we get going, because some of these things that we get into get a little more difficult. They pose challenges, and so it's important that you've got a why that is big enough to work out the how. So what I'm going to be going through today is avoiding expensive poo, was my name for it, right? Pretty exciting. But really, what is going through your digestive system when we're investing in our health and we're spending money on things like supplementation, and how do we know whether or not we're actually getting a good deal or a good bang for our buck? So I'm going to be going through that. My tagline today is focus on fats that fuel you. Focus on fats that fuel you. And so most of the supplementation that I'm taking every day is focusing on fats, good fats that nourish the body, that nourish my gut. A lot of people in our culture in America have major gastrointestinal issues, and maybe you're one of them. When we finish up with a meal, we should feel good. We shouldn't feel like we can tell that our body's digesting food. We shouldn't feel run down or sluggish. We should feel energized after we eat. I once heard a doctor explain, when you put gas into your car, it doesn't go, I gotta go lay down and take a nap, right? It's fueled. It's ready to go. It's ready to go drive wherever until it runs out of gas again. And so our bodies should be the same way. We should be putting fuel in them that gives us energy and a jump start to the day. We shouldn't feel like we need to take a nap after our meals, right? And after our supplementation, for sure. So let's talk about 4 supplements that every human should be on. Now, I have to say, there is a little bit of wiggle room, especially for moms out there that are breastfeeding. There are definitely things to consider. And then infants that are being breastfed should be getting their supplementation through their mama's milk. So they would probably not qualify for my every human tagline. And then there's also people that are going through major medical situations and are working with their physicians and not necessarily would follow this exactly as I'm going through it. So just know there's some wiggle room there. But honestly, nearly every single human on this planet should be taking 4 supplements every single day. So let's move into the first one that I think every human should be taking, and that is, anybody want to guess? Probiotics. Have you heard of probiotics? If you've heard of probiotics, have you heard of prebiotics? That is something that is very important when you're looking at a probiotic. You want a probiotic that has a prebiotic. Did you know that probiotics are fed by prebiotics? So that is basically the fiber. And so when you're looking for a probiotic, you want to make sure that somewhere on there, specifically the supplement facts label, it's telling you that there is also a prebiotic blend. So I'm going to get real close here and see if you guys can read this at what point. Anyway, you can see here, this is a prebiotic chain here that is in my probiotic. So I know that the probiotic isn't going to die once it gets into my system. It's going to stay alive because it has a prebiotic to feed it. So that's pretty new. We've known about probiotics for a long time, but prebiotics are a new new concept. So it's important when you're looking for a probiotic that you have a good brand quality, something that you trust, something that you know of people. I always say, whose health do I envy or covet, and what are they taking? I always ask, what brand do you use? Because I feel like that is a good sign that they're probably getting good results and they've probably looked into it. If you don't have time to do the research yourself, then rely on somebody that has spent time looking into how companies manufacture their products and all of that. So brand quality is really important. The other thing that you want to consider is the CFU. The how many CFUs are in your probiotic. The one that I use has 6 billion. I know that they go up to at least 15 billion or more. When my husband was going through some severe gastrointestinal things, he was taking actually 100 billion every single day and multiple capsules of that. That is a very acute use, but 5 to 6 billion is a pretty standard everyday use. So the high CFU, and then strain diversity. You don't want just one strain of a bacteria. Some bacteria will be helpful with hormonal issues. Some bacteria will be helpful with thyroid issues. Some bacteria will be helpful for gastrointestinal issues. So it's important that you have a wide strain. So this is where you get into all the names that you really can't pronounce, right? The longum, bifidum, salvarius, acidophilus, lactis, those are all strains of bacteria. So most people are so scared of bacteria, right? We hear bacteria and we think, get the bleach out, we got to get rid of the bacteria. Know that bacteria is actually very good, and while there is bad bacteria that can cause problems, most bacteria is good. What have we been doing in the last decade or more with bacteria, right? Getting rid of 99.9% of bacteria. Crazy, you guys. That's why we're dealing with so many mega bugs and things that people are not able to get under control with their immune system, because we've wiped out all the good bacteria that is regulating the populations in our gut. So know that you need bacteria. Your body is actually more bacteria than it is human cell. And so bacteria is important. If you don't have proper levels of bacteria, that's when you're going to start experiencing intestinal, gastro issues, digestive concerns. And so all the way from minor things like just burping after a meal, gas, to really serious digestive concerns. So bacteria is one of the number one things you have to be doing. If you're not going to go on any other supplement, then at least go on a probiotic to help regulate digestive health, because your mood and mental health and your immune system is dependent on your gut being healthy, and your probiotics are the first way to do that. It is such an easy change, you guys. Find a good brand, invest a little bit of money, and just start taking a capsule of probiotics every single day. Now, can you get probiotics in your food? Totally. What do most people take for healthy probiotics? Anybody want to guess? Yogurt. I'm not a big fan of yogurt, and the reason is because most of it is very, very processed. Organic yogurt would be a good step in the right direction, because it doesn't have chemicals and hormones, at least artificial hormones. But if it's dairy, it's coming from an animal and they have hormones, whether they're good or bad. And so the safest way to get in probiotics is through supplementation, or fermented foods have probiotics, good bacteria in them as well. So consider all of that with probiotics. But regardless, a probiotic, I take doTERRA's PB Assist. It's super important. So the last thing that I want to talk about is how they're capsuled. So how cute is this little guy? Notice there's 2 capsules in there. You've got the green one, and then the outside one. I've taken probiotics for a long time. The refrigerated versus non-refrigerated, there's a lot of discussion there. I don't notice that there is necessarily a big reason to have it refrigerated, as much as it needs to, sorry, I have an itchy nose here. It needs to be time released. So the prebiotic releases first, and the probiotic doesn't release until it's in the lower GI. And that's typically where most problems are. I've noticed a physical difference. So I'm on live Facebook, so I don't really want to go into big detail on this, but when you're eliminating regularly, you feel good, right? Anybody eliminating regularly? I struggle with that. In college, I was not. And I remember my mom getting really worked up about it. And I was like, what's the big deal? I feel fine. Well, I didn't feel fine. I had chronic head and neck tension, very irregular elimination, tired all the time, all of that. And so once I finally started eliminating regularly, made a huge difference. And probiotics, time-released capsule probiotics made the big difference there. That's the first one. The second one is a multivitamin. So there is so much discussion about multivitamins and whether they're just a crock, especially amongst maybe healthcare professionals that you're familiar with, or family members. If you're taking a multivitamin, you're probably getting flack for it, because are they really good for you? Well, for good reason, for some of it. A lot of multivitamins are junk, and it's because people know how to make products, and they know how to make them cheaper and faster. And a lot of supplements are being made in labs. They're not real. The body doesn't know how to use them. So let me give you an example. When you look, I'm trying to find something that has a word on it. This will work, but this word at the top here says living, right? So when I hold it up like this, you guys instantly, your brain recognizes that word and it says it immediately in your head, living. When I turn this upside down and now I say, what is this word here? Your body has to flip it around in its mind and determine what that is. So this is synthetic. This is basically how the body responds to synthetic products. This is how the body responds to things that it is designed to understand. So hopefully all of us on this line agree that God made the universe, and he made us as well, very intricately. And every part of us is designed in perfection. And so when we take in things that are designed by our creator, our body knows how to use them. That's why I love essential oils, because they're designed by God. Our body knows how to use them so quickly. But that's why I love food. And when I'm teaching my daughter in the grocery store what we can put in our cart and what we can't, we're looking for food that God made, right? So we get through the produce aisle and notice that everything that God made is good for us. Then we get down like the bulk aisle, right? We're getting like barley or granola or something like that. And she's like, the organic colored gummies, right? She's like, this has got to be what God made, right? Did God make gummy bears? I'm like, no, honey, he didn't. And of course, there's always a place for fun and treats and things. But when we're focusing on good foods, things that our body recognizes that we know are good for us, it's always going to be what God made. So when we get into the world of supplementation and we get to multivitamins, it has to be what God made, or nobody is going to know how to process it. So when you're looking at a food nutrient complex, it needs to be actual food, multivitamin. We can make man-made vitamins, but that doesn't make any sense. We can get vitamins from our foods. And so let's make our supplements whole foods vitamins. That's what you want to be looking for. That is the number one thing when you're looking for a multivitamin. You need to be able to look on the bottle and you need to see names of food on there. So this is the one that I take. Let's take a look at the label. So it goes through a lot of vitamins: vitamin A, C, D3, E, K, riboflavin, vitamin B6, calcium, iron, magnesium, selenium, copper. Blah, blah. Proprietary whole food blend: kale powder, dandelion leaf powder, parsley powder, kelp stem and leaf powder, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, spinach. That's food! My body knows how to absorb food, right? Because those foods were designed by God. Our body was designed by God. So some people get started taking supplements and they're like, well, why the heck do I have to take so many capsules, right? They told me to take 4 a day. Like, I don't want to just be taking pills all day long. Well, did you know that the average senior citizen, or I don't know, my parents don't like them to be called senior citizens because now they're getting close to that age, but 65 and older, the average 65 and older are taking 13 medications on average every single day. So that means there's plenty of people taking more than that, and some are taking less. That's the average 13. So I take 12 capsules a day of good whole food supplementation, and I'm okay with that, because I would rather do that knowing that that's filling my body with good than know what the alternative is filling my body with chemicals. So that is what you want to consider when you're looking for a multivitamin. It has to be whole foods. If it's like a hard packed pill and you look on the label and there is no food in there, that is expensive urine. That's expensive poo, people. Your body is not digesting that. I can guarantee it. I used to work in a chiropractic office, and so we take x-rays of patients, and I saw several x-rays where they'd have little, you wouldn't know it if you didn't know how to look at x-rays, but they're little black dots all the way down their digestive tract. Those are supplements. They're like the one-a-days. They're not digested. So some people are like, I don't want to spend that much money on supplementation. And I'm saying, well, what are you spending? Well, it's a fourth probably of what I'm spending. But even if it's a fourth of it and you're not digesting it, it's still a waste of $15. So just consider that. Now think about this. Vitamin A, we all know that that's good for our eyes. Vitamin C, good for our heart. Vitamin D, good for our immune system and our bone health. So vitamins are important, but consider minerals the next time you look at a multivitamin. There's 3 minerals that I think are really important: iron, calcium, and magnesium. So iron oxygenates our blood, oxygenates really our whole body. It regulates energy release. It helps actually absorb our vitamins and our probiotics. If we take probiotics, it will actually increase the absorption of iron. So that's why I think that's so important. Calcium, we can get that from foods too. Wild caught fish, almonds, spinach. Most times people are not consuming those. And then magnesium. Did you know that magnesium is required in the body for 300 plus reactions? So for your body to break down fat and glucose, for your body to absorb nutrients, for your body to balance its blood sugars, it requires magnesium. Do you know that women during menstruation actually lose a ton of minerals and a ton of vitamins and nutrients? It's a normal process, right? But our bodies are ridding itself of toxins, and a lot of times we lose nutrients too. So some people have really, really long cycles, and that can be exhausting on the body, not only just because of the cycle, but because of all the loss of all of those nutrients. So it's so important that we're supplementing our bodies. Think about it this way. People are like, well, I eat healthy. Well, in 1930, you could eat 1 orange and you'd get all of the vitamin C that you would need for the day, 100%. Today, the way our soil has been depleted and the way that our farming practices are, do you know how many oranges you'd have to eat to get your full value? 8. 8 oranges. 8 oranges? 8 oranges. Okay, so I'm all about eating healthy, and honestly, a while ago I would have gotten frustrated with supplement companies that just tell you, well, just take this, right? Because that's the same thing as taking a prescription. I'm not going to change any of my lifestyle. A prescription typically is a permission slip to change nothing. And so I don't want to say anything negative about people on prescriptions. I know that some people are in very tough situations, but if you get handed a slip that tells you don't have to change anything, sometimes we like that, right? And I'm warning you that that's not always the best route to go. So don't take your multivitamin as a prescription for not eating well. You still have to eat well. Your body still needs to get nutrients through your food, but there is 20 to 30% less nutrients in our fruits and vegetables today than there was 70, 80 years ago. So just know that. Other ways that you lose minerals are through stress, through exercise. So it's just to consider, do you work out really hard? Do you have a lot of stress through your job or your family or whatever it is? Remember, as a woman, we're going to lose more through our menstruation. And just know that we need to be adding that back in. My multivitamin has the daily values of all of that, of iron and magnesium and all of that. So important that it is bioavailable, that your body can actually absorb it and digest it. That's number 2. All staying with me. Number 3 would be omegas. I run into a lot of people that don't know what this means. Omegas are essential fatty acids. Omega-3s and omega-6s, maybe you've heard of that. Omega-3s Your body does not make them. I was talking with a friend about this morning. Part of me initially goes, did he forget to put omega-3s in our body in a process to make them? No. He expected us to get them from the food that we eat. So omega-3s or good fats come in a lot of different forms. Avocados. Anybody here eating avocados? Those actually are the oils and the properties of avocados are anti-aging. A lot of people ask me what oils they can use for anti-aging, and there are many, but they need to be eating avocados daily. Avocado oil or avocados. They have a lot of vitamin E in them, so that lowers free radical damage. So when we're encountering free radicals from our bad foods or from our lifestyles or whatever, we're going to be reducing that by eating good fats. It also helps lower bad cholesterol. So there's so many people that are worried about their heart and cardiovascular system and cholesterol, but they're not doing a darn thing about these good fats that are so easy to incorporate because they don't like the taste of them or whatever it is, right? I don't like the taste of disease. It wreaks havoc on my life and my health, and it's worth it. Butter is a good fat. Y'all think that fat makes you fat? That is only because the low-fat industry wants you to believe that. There's actually a Time article several years ago that said we got it wrong, and they had butter on the front of it. Fat does not make you fat. Good fats actually burn fat, and so your body requires them. Your heart and your brain are made primarily of fat, and they have done studies on people on low-fat diets and their incidences of mood and mental health and brain concerns. And so I'm just telling you, it's not worth getting rid of the fat. I promise you, you're not going to gain weight if you eat good fats. Now, I'm not talking about fast food and french fries and things like that. I'm talking about good quality fats. I eat so much fat, you guys. I have a fat smoothie nearly every morning, and I don't struggle with my weight. Number 3 would be coconut oil, good fat. Or other omega-3s like wild caught seafood, sardines and salmon, grass-fed beef, anything with ALA, EPA, DHA, those are all omega-3s. Now, we live in South Dakota. At least I do. Maybe some of you here don't. We don't get access to freshwater fish very often, right? I wouldn't even mind eating that very often. It's just not readily available. So supplementation is an absolute must when you live in this area. And so my omegas have the recommended daily allowance for those: EPA, DHA, ALA. They also have a CPTG essential oil blend in them of clove, frankincense, thyme, cumin, wild orange, peppermint, ginger, caraway, and German chamomile. So I know that these oils are crossing my blood-brain barrier because frankincense has the ability to do that. Clove, frankincense, and thyme are the top oils for thyroid health. So thyroid, what does that regulate in our body? Energy, moods, hormones. Omegas need to be in your diet. They have to be consumed because that is regulating all of those. What are the top 3 things that women deal with that I run into? Hormonal concerns, whether it's late hormonal, like flashes of heat, or can't get pregnant all the time. That's what I'm running into. Mood and mental health concerns, postpartum concerns, just feeling lethargic and unmotivated, and then finally energy levels. I run into so many moms that are so stinking tired all the time. Go back and watch Londa's thing on water. Water is so essential to energy, but fats, good fats, are what fuel you. They're what make you want to keep going. So make sure that you've considered good fats in your diet. They are going to reduce the damage due to oxidative stress, and they reduce inflammation. So remember, your body doesn't produce it on its own. You have to supplement with it, and it has to be properly absorbed. It can't be from a bad source. It can't be from fish out of the Big Sioux River. I mean, I suppose you can get oils from them too. It needs to be wild caught, not farm raised sources. So, and then the last one is vitamin D3. Vitamin D3. So this is what we get from the sun. So you've got UVA rays and UVB rays. UVA is what causes the skin damage. That's the bad rays. But the sun is so good, you guys. Can you believe that God would put the sun in the sky to shine down on us all day long and have it all be bad? There's no way. He's so much more smarter. He's thought about it way longer than we have. So know that there are bad rays in the sun, but there are good rays, and that's actually what makes vitamin D3 in our body when we absorb that. But did you know that UVB rays are only out during a period of time of the day? From 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., typically, depending on where you live in the globe, is when the UVB rays are out. And then you live in South Dakota, and there's like 9 months out of the year where it doesn't even get to that position on the globe, the sun. And so we don't ever even see UVB rays. So we are so deficient in vitamin D3. I know people that live in Florida that are deficient in vitamin D3 because they're not outside between the hours of 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. with their chest exposed to the sun. So 20 minutes during those hours every day, and the chest is one of the best places to absorb it. Anybody outside during the summer, 20 minutes a day, maybe, and then you could definitely decrease your D3 supplementation during that time, but typically not, right? We're very deficient. So that's dental health, bone health, weight loss is really important for vitamin D3, and then your immune system. So stinking important to have. Does anyone notice they feel healthier during the summer? It is not because it's just the summer and it's not flu season. That's just crazy. It's the sun. It makes us feel good, right? When we increase our vitamin D3, our mood is affected. So there is an app that you can download to your smartphone if you really want to geek out a little bit. It's called the letter D, Minder, Minder. You can type in all your age, your how much you're supplementing vitamin D3, and where you live on the globe, and it'll tell you how many days you have until you're going to get UVB rays like available to you from the sun. You can monitor your D levels. It gave me a score of 8. 0 is the lowest and like 100 is the highest. So I'm already deficient even just taking what I'm taking. So it's important to know those kind of things. I recommend about 5,000 IUs for adults every day, especially during the winter. 5,000 IUs. I take vitamin D3 from Maximize Living, but you can get other brands too. You just want to make sure that it's a high level of IUs and that it has that it's easily absorbable. 5,000 IUs for adults, and then I recommend 1,000 to 2,000 IUs for children, especially in the winter. You can always do less if you want to in the summer. So anybody want to know what my fat smoothie is all about? I want you today to focus on fats for fuel. I promise you, if you are someone that gets lethargic around 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, or you wake up feeling unrefreshed, you need to have more fats for fuel in your body. So consider my fat burning smoothie, but it doesn't have to be fat burning. It could just be energy boosting, hormone. It'll affect your hormones. Think about all those things that I talked about that fats affect. So it's a can of coconut milk. I always put a half a can of water in there too, just to kind of dilute it out. Otherwise it gets pretty thick. Some kind of sweetener, natural sweetener. I typically use a tablespoon of raw honey.